A US judge is set to decide whether to block the Trump administration from revoking Harvard University's ability to enrol foreign students. Protests have been taking place on campus, where international students make up around a quarter of the student body. Many of them come from India, drawn by Harvard's reputation as the world's leading research university. The White House has targeted Harvard in recent weeks, withdrawing federal funding from the US's oldest university and challenging its tax-free status. For more, I'm joined now by our correspondent, Shalu Yadav in New Delhi. Shalu, Harvard is seen as the pinnacle for students seeking a globally relevant education. How has this announcement been received by students who thought they had been granted access to this most exclusive organisation?
Well, first up, Anthony, Indians form the second largest cohort of students who are studying at the Harvard. And if you look at the overall number of Indians, studying in the US universities across the country, India sends the largest number of students to the US. So naturally, this announcement will have an adverse impact on the great American dream that so many Indian students harbor here. Now, we tried to speak to some students who have been directly impacted by this announcement, but they don't want to speak to the media because they say that they fear retribution, and their visa process, which might be under processing at the consulates, might be in jeopardy. But with so much uncertainty, we are hearing from agencies that Indian students are already looking at Plan Bs, and they're looking at other countries for higher studies, for instance, Canada, Ireland, and even European countries. I mean, if you look at Germany, the number of students applying for Germany since the Trump administration has come to power has really gone up. So experts are saying that this can be a loss for the US, but a gain for other countries. Now, even as Indian students who are directly impacted are making sense of this announcement, we spoke to some students at a university in Delhi who are not directly impacted by it, but we got their views on this announcement, and this is what they had to say.
I would be frightened. I would be very apprehensive whether to go or not, because again, I would say the same thing, going from, as a student from a global south, going to a country like US and having no, social security and support systems from the society, but also from the state as such, I would think thrice before leaving.
This is the biggest crackdown on education. It shows how a capitalist country is imposing its propaganda on the universities. This crackdown is not right in any way. The meaning of university is universal. Students from all over the world should have the freedom to study.
I'm focusing on queer theory in international relations, and US is the place, that's well known for doing that PhD. But after this crackdown, as an LGBTQ person, it's extremely difficult for me to enter US and pursue academia in the field that I want to. So it is completely frustrating, and I'm taken aback.
I think the crackdown is part of a larger global trend, where right-wing authoritarian populist governments are cracking down on universities, especially public higher educational institutions, because these are sites of critical thinking. These are spaces where you ask uncomfortable questions to those in power.
Shalu Yadav still with us in Delhi. We heard from the students, Shalu. Has there been any reaction from the Indian government to these new visa restrictions by the US?
Well, Anthony, the Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri happens to be in Washington as we speak, but he hasn't responded to this development so far. But we hear that the new visa appointments at the US consulate in India, they've been put on hold until they hear from the Trump administration on what to do next. We also understand that the US authorities want to be able to look at students' social media accounts to ascertain if their views align with the US's national interest, and to ascertain whether they are a threat to their national security. So really, this has been seen as an absurd criteria by many students, of whether they align with the US government's views or not. This has never happened before. And mind you, India is not really seen as a hub, if you like, of anti-Israel protests. So a really surprise announcement by the Trump administration that has shocked many students here.
DW's Shalu Yadav in New Delhi. Thanks so much.